right, welcome everyone. This is Kumar Datatrain with Agile Meridian and joined with Glenn Marshall. And we are going to be continuing to talk about the XSCALE. Is it a framework, Glenn? I don't know. I want to make sure I call it the right thing. Is it a framework or is it a set of patterns? And I know that in the XSCALE community, we've kind of gone back and forth. Is it a framework? Is it a set of practice patterns? Is it? It's not a methodology for sure. What's your take on that?
I could argue that it's all of the above. The latest verbiage that we're using is a descaling framework.
The descaling framework. I like that. All right.
Which is kind of an oxymoron, but
yeah, it is. But for whatever it is, XSCALE has certainly captured our imaginations. And in our first session, of course, we talked about the X in XSCALE, which was exponential business. In this session, we're going to be talking about the S, which is simple design. And so, Glenn, again, these are meant to be fairly short videos to just talk about what these things mean. And we're going to try to, in the course of our conversation, give some practical examples of use in the real world. So what is simple design from an XSCALE perspective? What does it mean to you?
I would explain that by talking about what design has traditionally been. In the past, design was very detailed. It was done up front. People put a lot of effort into it, got a lot of formal sign-offs, what people sometimes call big upfront design. There's two major problems with that. Number one, it assumes that the author of the requirement, specification, actually knows what the customer wants. Oftentimes that is not the case. And number two, and this is the big one, there is discovery. I don't care who you are or how good you are, there will always be discovery. And with big upfront design, discovery and incorporating the learnings from the discovery is very expensive, and that's a huge problem. There is a newer way called design thinking. You could describe that as brainstorming plus iterative prototyping. That's actually a good, significant improvement over traditional design. But again, there's a big problem here, and that is you're assuming that the customers know what they want. And this can be summarized beautifully in a quote from Henry Ford. Henry Ford said, "If I asked customers what they want, they would have said they wanted a faster horse, and we would never have gotten the automobile, at least not from Henry Ford. We would have been discouraged and run off." So Apple is a big proponent of that. Apple simply does not have focus groups. They have people who think very deeply and very hard about what people want. But if you ask them about that, well, I'm not a designer, I'm not a futurist. How would I know what I want? You need to go and show me something, and I'll tell you if I like it. So that,
yeah, I mean, I think what Apple did was pretty interesting, right? In the iPhone, of course, the iPod before that, they really disrupted the traditional design approaches to these devices by providing an interface that was very intuitive, that people could learn very quickly and use almost immediately. And I don't think they went with the idea that the customer knew what they wanted. They experimented, prototyped, put things in front of people to see how they used it. And based on how they used it, they used that information to design their products. Would you say that's accurate?
I would.
And isn't that part of the design thinking framework as well, Glenn?
It is, but it's more around looking at people and seeing what problems they have, as opposed to really thinking out of the box much more boldly. There's a image that Apple actually uses from Picasso that encapsulates this thinking out of the box and simplifying. Is that something you could bring up now?
Yep, there it is.
Okay. If you look at the marketplace, imagine starting in the top left with Picasso's image, you're going to get all kinds of stuff. And if you're trying to do a good design, you really need to simplify. Jobs has a quote, Steve Jobs from Apple, "Simplify to the essence." And this image actually shows this. On the bottom right, there is the essence of the bull. It is all of the lines are critical. You can't take out any of those lines or it wouldn't be a bull anymore. But looking at that, you do recognize that it's a bull, but it's stripped down to the essence.
Are you talking about this image here that I have my mouse is on?
It's on the bottom right above the signature.
Yeah, bottom right above the signature. This one right here.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So it's critical to simplify because there's so much stuff out there, and you absolutely have to simplify and get rid of all extraneous noise. The second critical point here is to think of the product as an ecosystem of customer experience. It's not just a look and feel. It's more than a look and feel, and it's more than a device. It's an ecosystem. And Apple exemplifies that very well.
Well, we had that experience earlier today, right, Glenn?
We did.
So Glenn is an Apple user, and I'm not. I use Android and PC, and Glenn uses all Apple products. And so he sent me a text assuming that I would see it on my PC, and I didn't. Where the typical Apple user would see it whatever device they're using if they're in that ecosystem.
Exactly.
And so it serves that ecosystem. It's not just about the iPhone or the Mac or the Apple Watch as an individual product. The product is part of an ecosystem, an experience. And so when you are part of the Apple ecosystem, you tend to buy other Apple products because they all work so well together. They all seamlessly integrate with each other, talk to each other, and of course, keep you informed in the process.
Exactly. Now, your first product might not be that much of an ecosystem, but you build other products in other ecosystems and you tie them together. So you have an ecosystem of ecosystems.
Right. And so what does this have to do with simple design, though? Because it seems pretty complicated to think that far ahead in terms of building a product experience.
You don't. But the point is, for each of the products that you create, you need to think of them as an experience, not just a device. You need to think holistically about how the customer is going to experience them. Another really good example is Tesla. I believe you have a Tesla, Kumar. How is Tesla an experience or an ecosystem, or is it just a device sitting out there all by itself?
Well, I think it is an experience. I mean, I only have the car. I don't have any of their other products like the Powerwall or the Solar Roof or any of that stuff. But even though I only have the vehicle at this point, it is still an experience because I experience quarterly or more frequent updates to the software on the car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to go anywhere. If there's a recall, the recall is really just to the software, and it's just beamed to me, digitally, and I get it, and I enjoy the new feature, whatever that might be. In addition, of course, there's a supercharger network that no one else can use in the U.S. Of course, that may change.
I think
but I would argue that even when it does change and other cars, other EVs are able to use the supercharger network, their experience is going to be different than someone that owns a Tesla.
Sorry, go ahead.
Because it's built into the navigation, right? So when you are on a trip, you can navigate to wherever you're going, and the Tesla navigation system automatically routes you to all the Tesla superchargers that are on the way that you would need to stop at. And I don't believe that kind of an experience would be native to someone that doesn't own a Tesla.
I'm sure
it doesn't connect for me simple design to a product ecosystem.
Tesla just had an investor day. If you live in Texas and you drive a lot, Tesla is actually offering something even better than, arguably even better than the supercharger network. They're offering now, it costs you around $5 to charge overnight depending on the price of electricity, of course, but it's around $5. If you live in Texas rather, Tesla is offering $30 per month unlimited charging.
Yeah.
So assuming you need to charge every day, the price of charging just went from $5 to $1. That's a big deal, and that's a building on the Tesla ecosystem.
Yeah, I want to try to connect the idea of simple design to the complexity that can arise from it. Right, and so for me, if you start simple, I think this has a lot to the first principles thinking as well. You start with the most simple design that you can come up with, and you test it out, and you get data, and you get customer feedback, and then you improve on it, and you build on it, and until you get something more complex that's going to work in the marketplace, right? But you start with as simple a design as possible, and you get feedback, and to me, that's the essence of simple design, the S in XSCALE, and how you can get really complex behaviors and complex structures from starting with a very simple, very clean slate of a design. What are your thoughts on that?
Like Picasso's bull.
Like Picasso's bull, right? No one can mistake this simple drawing here on the right, middle right, as being a bull. It looks like a bull, but it's just really a very simple collection of lines. And of course, when you add more detail to it and you traverse this montage of pictures, you get to the finished bull. And of course, that has a lot more detail. It has shading. It has colors. It's got eyes. It's got muscles. It's got all the what you'd associate with a bull. But you don't start there. You don't necessarily need to start there. You need to start with something very simple, test the idea out, and then build on it and improve it.
Get it out to the customer, get feedback. Of course, you want to go and simplify to the essence and get it in front of people. And if they like it, then you sell it. But of course, we don't want to delay that because that's delaying revenue. So many products are complicated, muddied with all kinds of features that people don't use or don't even understand. Keep it simple, get it out there, make customers happy, and then add on, but again, following the principles of simple design, focusing on the essence and just what customers want.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what else would you say would connect the simple design to what we're talking about today? For our viewers, understanding sort of the XSCALE descaling framework. Simple design. What have we missed, if anything?
We should also give a shout out to Agile. The way you do this, of course, is through by following good Agile practices. Keep stuff in a time box. Iterate aggressively. Refactor. Keep it simple. You're going to learn. You're going to get new information. Bring that back in and change it. The bull might evolve in an unexpected way into something else, but as long as you're focusing on the customer, getting data and incorporating it, that plus simple design, it really is the essence of successful products and thinking in terms of an ecosystem, not just a standalone device, but everything around it.
Yeah, there's one of the tools that we'll talk about in a later session that it's been around for a long time, and it's part of the practices, if you will, the patterns that XSCALE uses. And it's R, the pirate metrics. And so we're not going to go into it in great detail here, but really it helps a product team think about the ecosystem and how to build awareness in the marketplace for your product or your product ecosystem, and how to acquire customers into your ecosystem, how to activate them to do something, to buy something. Of course, that results in revenue. And eventually, hopefully, referrals, because they love your product so much, they're going to get other people into your ecosystem, like Tesla has done, right? They have been able to grow their company from nothing in 2011 or whenever the Roadster came out to I don't know how many billion company they are now, just through word of mouth and through their ecosystem. It's referrals and the brand awareness that Tesla has created has been enough. They haven't had to do any marketing, right?
I would give a shout out to behavior-driven development as well. That's how you go and a tool you use to focus on the essence as well. But that's definitely another big topic, and we definitely have to leave that for another session.
Right. Any concluding thoughts for today's session on simple design?
Come back in a couple of weeks, and we'll do the next letter in XSCALE.
That's right. And just to sort of close the session out, simple design, it's really just that. It's starting with as simple a slate as possible. It's related to design thinking. It builds on that a little bit more. It doesn't make any assumptions about what you think you know about the customer. It's really going even deeper and even closer to the customer to figure out how they use products, what kind of an experience are they looking for, and not assuming they know what they want. Right. All right. Well, see you all in a couple of weeks. Thanks for joining, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Kumar.